Do not buy a Mercedes-Benz unless you are a millionaire or an idiot. Well, I ain't no millionaire, but I bought a Mercedes. So this is a 2008 ML550. Yes, this is the 550. It has the 5.5 liter, 400 horsepower V8 in this tiny little SUV package. So what that means is that I have a 5.5 second 0 to 60 rocket ship. But as you heard at the beginning of this video, you are not supposed to buy a Mercedes-Benz unless you're a millionaire or an At least those are the words of famous YouTuber Scotty Kilmer.
Why it's not a good idea to buy a Mercedes-Benz unless you're a millionaire.
And who doesn't trust an old Okay, that was maybe a little bit harsh. He's probably not that old, but I have seen plenty of videos where he tells you that you would have to be a total to actually pay money for one of these cars and then have any chance of upkeeping the vehicle afterwards. Now this is where I confess that I actually bought this car 4 years ago. And when I bought it, it had 170,000 kilometers on it. Currently, this car has 330,000 miles. So we have owned this car for half of its kilometer lifespan. And I also have here all of the service records from maintaining this car since it was brand new. And we're going to get into the details on here a little bit later in the video, but I still want to tell you more about the car. So as you heard already, 5.5 second 0 to 60 time. This is a true rocket ship, but it's not just fast, it's actually surprisingly good on gas. From this 5.5 liter V8 engine, I am averaging around 10.5 liters per 100 kilometers. And again, I'm going to ask my editor to change that into a miles per gallon number. We'll put it along the bottom of the video so that you can be really impressed at how a high performance SUV can still put up some really fuel efficient numbers. Now I know most of you aren't going to believe me when I say those numbers, but I don't really care. Besides being fuel efficient, this is a fully loaded Mercedes-Benz. It has everything that you can expect from a Mercedes-Benz. On the outside, it is a beautiful white color. It has all-wheel drive that works amazing in the snow. It has all of the really neat features that you would expect from an anal German car manufacturer. But there's some other surprisingly good components about this car as well. For example, I told you this has 330,000 kilometers. This is in Canada. Now, for those of you who don't know, up in Canada, it snows. It snows a lot. And we dump a bunch of gravel and salt and sand and whatever else we can get our hands on the road in the winter to increase wintertime traction. That's great for traction. It's really bad for the body on your car. And I can ask my editor to flash some examples of cars that are similar age as this and the typical condition. But what you'll notice is the body is actually in really good shape considering it has been daily driven for our time owning it at least, for at least half of its kilometer lifespan. Now, again, I understand I've only owned this for 4 years. It's a 2008. So the previous owner didn't really drive it anywhere, which is fine. We've put all of the latter year kilometers on this car, and there's not really any rust to speak of. I will show you what the rusty parts look like right now. I'll flash it over while I'm talking about this so you can see what it looks like and just know that this is actually really impressive. Now, for those of you who are curious, this also has a lot of other great features. The headlights are projector headlights. They have been upgraded to LED from the Xenon, so they're actually a little bit brighter than what the Xenon gas headlights do. We did that ourselves. We also did an LED fog light upgrade, which you've seen in videos. If you go back 3 years ago, you can see that we've owned this car and we've done these upgrades. I've actually shown you a lot of the repairs that I've done on this car over the years that I've owned it, so it shouldn't be a surprise to those of you who have been with the channel for a long time. Those of you who are new to the channel, you might want to go back and check the playlist of the maintenance that we've done on this so you can actually verify that I'm telling you the truth. Inside, this car is extremely well appointed. It comes with the standard features that you would expect: your power windows, your power door locks, your power mirrors, all of that. The steering wheel has really high-end controls for the era, but they have become more standard controls. So you got your driver information center buttons here, you've got your radio control buttons here. It controls the dash, which has an LCD screen in the middle, but it's just a one color LCD. It's not like a color one like the newer cars have. In the center, we've got an upgraded stereo that has a full infotainment center, which runs on Android. It includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. We've got dual zone climate control, actually 3-zone climate control. I've got all these other buttons that you probably are curious about. This one's really cool. It's the sport and comfort button. It allows you to change the ride characteristics of the car. It's got ESP, that's the electronic stability, hill descent mode, which is a very European thing to include. We've never used it, probably because I'm not using the car the way that it's supposed to be, but whatever. We've got rough terrain mode. Because this has an air ride suspension, we do have this auto leveling feature where we can actually put it into raised mode if I know I'm going to go off in some uneven terrain or that sort of thing. We do use that sometimes in the winter, and then heated seats and all that. We also have a fully electric controlled steering wheel, which does tie in with the seat memory. So when I set the seat to the memory position that I need, I can also program the steering wheel position as well, which a lot of even brand new cars do not include that. It even has a heated steering wheel, which is great. I've got a sunroof, I've got an SOS button, I've got so many options in here. It's a 5-passenger, so I can fit up to 5 adults, which fit quite comfortably. And in the back, there's enough room for, in my case, 2 dogs, but for all of your junk and crap and whatever you need to take. It is the truly full package. Now, the really neat thing about this car, when we bought it 4 years ago, we were looking at a Honda Pilot or an Acura MDX. And I told my wife, you are way too classy to drive an Acura. Let's get you a Mercedes. And she said, that's not even in our price range. But surprisingly, because people like Scotty Kilmer are telling you that you would be a to buy this, they're very inexpensive. So I was able to pick this one up for 10,000 Canadian dollars with 170,000 kilometers on it. That was a smoking deal. That's about 7,000 American dollars for my American friends. And at the time, an Acura MDX would have cost me about the same $10,000 with about the same kilometers. So you can get German engineering or Honda engineering for the same price. For me, it was a no-brainer. Now, I do want to take you guys on a test drive so that we can see how it drives, feel the acceleration. I'll talk a little bit more about the features and what I like about the car. And then we are going to go over those receipts that I promised you, because you really want to see how much it truly costs to own a car like this, so you can decide if you're an idiot or a millionaire. All right? Stick around for that. We are going to cover the maintenance that I've had to do to this car later on in the video, so that is coming up. But while we're driving, I'm going to talk about a few things here. For example, do you hear that clunking? I don't know if you can hear that. That's a sway bar link or a bushing of some sort that's clunking around. I don't know. It hasn't bothered me a whole lot, so I leave it. Now, I will talk about why I leave that, and that's one of the things that you're going to be like, aha, no wonder it's so cheap to own a car like this, because you just don't fix anything. That's not totally true, but it is kind of a little bit true. So let's be clear, I am not under some illusion that this car is in mint shape. I'm not under any illusions about the overall condition of the car. It's in really good condition for the miles. Now, I do want to talk about the miles. I've so far mentioned a few times that this has 330,000 miles. The next thing that I want to talk about is just how luxurious this car is. Keep in mind, this is a 2008. And in 2008, Mercedes was way ahead of everybody else as far as features and options and comfort. So a lot of automakers have finally caught up. It is, you know, a lot later. This car was 15 years old, but they've just caught up to where it's at now. So there's a lot of options here. Like, for example, I have driver one touch down and up windows on the driver and passenger side. Now, I know, a lot of you are like, wow, my Kia does that. Yes, your Kia does do that, but in 2008, your Kia barely started in the morning. This car started in the morning and had driver down and up windows. So that's pretty cool. I've got this information center here, which currently is telling me that my parking lamp front right is burnt out, my license plate lamp right is burnt out, and to check my tire run flat indicators. Now, I do not have the TPMS sensors in the car, so it always gives me that warning. The other thing you may have noticed as I flashed my dash pictures is that I have a check engine light on. The check engine light was on when I bought the car. It is still on. I scanned the car with my super fancy scanner, which if you want a super fancy scanner like me, I do have a link in the description for a scanner very similar to the one that I have. The scanner tells me that my oxygen sensor has a short or open in the heater circuit. That does not affect drivability at all. It just makes this annoying light turn on, and I just haven't been bothered with replacing the light or with replacing the sensor because it doesn't actually affect anything about the car except how quickly that O2 sensor warms up. Now, I do want to get out on open stretch so I can show you the acceleration from this thing because it's truly amazing. 5.5 seconds is no joke. Now, if you're not sure if that's fast, look at some of your favorite cars that you've been looking at and see how fast they go from 0 to 60, and you will realize that this car is in a league all by itself. The reason my wife loves this car is because she can just kind of go wherever she wants, whenever she wants. She just steps on the gas and it goes. And it doesn't matter what speed you're going. If you're on the highway, you need to pass somebody, you just pull over, push your foot to the floor, and it goes. Now, I will tell you a quick tip, or a top secret tip, for most European or German cars, there is a wide open throttle switch which is underneath the gas pedal. And it's very stiff. It's usually really stiff. And a lot of people don't realize it's there. So they push until the pedal stops and they think they're at wide open throttle. You are not actually at wide open throttle. You need to push a little bit harder and you'll feel the switch go click, and the car will have full access to all, in this case, 400 horsepower, which is great. Now, the speed limit here is still very slow, so I don't want to just go tromping on it, but I just have a hard time not telling you guys how awesome this car is. All of the features in here are all working pretty much how they were intended right from the start. It's a comfortable car, so comfortable, in fact, we took a 2022 Mustang Mach-E, the electric SUV, for a test drive because we thought we might want to get rid of this and buy that Mach-E. I did do a review on that car, but the biggest takeaway was we got out of the Mustang and came and got into this 2008 ML550 that's filthy and dirty and old and tired, and it felt infinitely better than driving in that Mach-E. This feels more planted. It has just as much power, maybe a little bit less. The interior is just such high quality that it even holds up today against brand new cars. So a brand new $100,000 plus car is not as nice as my $10,000 car that has 330,000 kilometers. Now, again, I actually was telling you 330,000 kilometers a lot so far in this video, but it turns out, and I'm gonna pull it up just so that I can reference it, this car actually has 341,561 kilometers. That is unheard of. I have had Chevy SUVs that have gone to 350, 360 without a lot of issues, but I have never seen like a Dodge get that far without features starting to break. So yes, the truck will run that long, but the power windows don't work or the climate control doesn't work. In a Ford, you get to like 230,000 kilometers, which is a third less than what this has, and all of a sudden it rattles and the dash has a rattle, and again, the windows don't work or the climate control's not working or the all-wheel drive doesn't work, or it's just so many things break. Now watch this, I'm gonna accelerate. Look at that. There's a guy behind me. He's not anymore. He was thinking he was gonna pass me, but now he's not. It just accelerates so nicely. It's so nice to drive. There, we're gonna do a 0 to 60 run right here. Ready? Oh yeah, I'll tell you when I'm at 60. I'm at 60 now. So if you want, you can time it and see if it still does 0 to 60. Keep in mind, 340,000 kilometers, it should be a little tired. Maybe it doesn't do 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds anymore, but it certainly does 0 to 60 in a reasonable amount of time. It's fast, it's fun, it's affordable. I don't understand why more people aren't picking up old Mercedes-Benzes and just enjoying their drive around. Like, this is just so enjoyable to drive this car. Maybe it's the service cost. Maybe it's the cost of keeping a car like this on the road. So we're gonna go back to in front of the place where I do all my videos, and let's go over the service history of this car and see if we're missing something. See if Scotty Kilmer was right. Maybe you do need to be a millionaire to own a car like this. So let's jump over there and let's talk about it. So now the part you've all been waiting for. I have all of the service records since I've owned this, but also since the original owner has owned this car. So I have both of the service records for the entire life of the car. Okay, so we're gonna go over what's in here so that you can get a good idea of the types of repairs that this particular car has needed over the life from 0 kilometers all the way to 330,000 kilometers. Tournament Ski and Marine. Okay, I think I know what happened here. See, since this is a Mercedes and you would have to be a fool to own it, obviously it would cost a lot of money to repair it and it would need repairs frequently. So what I did was went to my service manuals and I picked the biggest one, because clearly a vehicle that breaks all the time and costs a lot of money will obviously need a lot of repairs. So the binders should be really big, right? Well, I accidentally must have got the service records for my surfing boat instead of the Mercedes. This is a little embarrassing. So, okay, the truth is I don't actually have all of the service records for this car.
You stupid.
Since I bought it, but I do know all the things that I needed to do to this car. And I'm gonna cover those very, very quickly so you can get a good overview of what it is. So here's a quick list of the things that I've had to do, the major things. So when I bought it, the air ride suspension broke almost immediately. And I know what you're thinking, aha, air ride suspension, that's so expensive. Well, actually, to replace both front shocks on this car was only a few $100s. So I replaced the air springs only, the struts were still good. At some point, the thermostat did fail. Luckily, it failed open, so the car just wasn't making heat. But one side note on that is working on a German car has been a dream, at least this car. I am blown away at how much thought goes into stuff such as a thermostat. So the hose for the thermostat, the thing that people probably would complain about, it has this really neat metal collar on the end that just snaps right into the housing where the thermostat goes. So all you do is lift the little pin and pop it out. There's an O-ring in there that seals it. It works beautifully. It is so much cleaner and nicer than any other car I've worked on where they just grab a piece of radiator hose, hack it off, and then clamp it on. It's something so simple, but it was so elegant. It was a very cool experience to change that thermostat. I have had to replace the windshield twice now, and I will admit that the windshield was like $300 each time because it has the rain sensor up here for the wipers and it's a Mercedes, so it does cost more. Besides that though, there hasn't been any major repairs that have been needed to be done on this. It's all just regular maintenance. New tires when it needed it, new brakes when it needed it, oil change when it needs it. When it needs a service B or a service C or whatever, you have to go and check your hoses, check your fluid levels and all that, and then just do an oil change. It's very, very easy. At one point, the stereo did stop working, and if I replaced the stereo with the factory replacement, it would have cost me $1,000. I actually bought this Android unit for only a couple $100. I think it was about $300. It integrated directly with the Mercedes system. It had all the connectors, it just plugged right in and it works, including the backup camera, all work. So that has me wondering, did Scotty Kilmer get it wrong? Are you truly an idiot if you bought this car? Or am I secretly a millionaire? I think there is one distinction to make, and I'm gonna use that to wrap this all up. You see, I am not a millionaire, and I don't think I'm an idiot. But what I am is a somewhat mechanically minded individual. I can do my own work. And I think the distinction is this. If you're going to buy a car, like in this case, that's almost 15 years old, with high miles, it will cost you money. And if you need to pay somebody to do the repair work, it will cost you a lot more than a newer car would cost you over time, because the newer car presumably needs less work. In my case, this car has cost me very little in the 4 years that we've owned it, and it's surprisingly one of the cheapest cars to maintain that I've had yet, mostly because nothing's been breaking. And I think that's where the big difference is. Ford Flex that I had actually cost me more to maintain in the 9 months that I owned it than this Mercedes has cost me in the 4 years that I have owned it. And that's not just over 9 months. I'm talking about the Ford Flex cost me more in 9 months to maintain than this has costed me in 4 years. This is the only Mercedes that I have ever owned. But I'm looking to buy another car. This one, again, is nearing the end of its life, and it is time to sell the car. So I am putting this for sale somewhat soon. If you're watching this video and you're like, man, I'd love to own a car that Gears and Tech has driven, reach out to me. I might still be selling it. But I'm very tempted to buy another Mercedes, a little bit newer with lower kilometers, and see if I can make it to 330,000 kilometers with that one with a similar experience. I want to know from you guys, have you owned a Mercedes as long as this? Have you had a similar experience to me in driving your Mercedes and keeping it on the road? Put your answer in the comment down below. Tell me what you think. Did I just get lucky? Or is everybody experiencing the same thing? So far, this has been a great car. Scotty Kilmer, I'm sorry, you are wrong in this case. Maybe next time. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of this video. We hope you enjoy the content in this video, and we'd love to have you come back. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And for those subscribers who are looking for that extra special thing that you can do to support this channel, consider joining our members group. That's where we're building this community, the Gears and Tech community, where we can all enjoy content together. You'll get special perks, which we'd love for you to check out by clicking the link down below. For those of you who are just happy to watch the video, that's okay too. You can check out some of our other content right over here, where we've got some previous videos that have already been uploaded and enjoyed by many of our viewers already. We do hope to see you again. This has been Gears and Tech. Have a great day.